Tired of the same AAA sequels that feel a bit too safe? Today we're looking at the sweet spot of gaming, AA titles. These are games with high production values that aren't afraid to take massive creative risks. From brutal martial arts to haunting mysteries, these are 10 incredible AA games you probably missed, but absolutely need to play in 2026. Let's dive straight into the list. Developed by Don't Nod Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden is a masterclass in narrative-driven action RPGs. Set in 1695, you play as Antea and Red, two ghost hunters and lovers bound by a tragic fate. When Antea dies and becomes a spirit, the game forces you to make impossible moral choices. Will you ascend her soul or sacrifice the living to bring her back? The chemistry between the two leads is the heart of the journey, making every decision feel heavy and personal. The combat is fluid, allowing you to swap between Red's physical weaponry and Antea's spiritual powers on the fly. It feels like a more intimate, focused version of the modern God of War games. If you want a deep story with meaningful consequences and a hauntingly beautiful setting, Banishers is a journey you cannot afford to miss. Sifu is one of the most unique and challenging action games of the last decade. It's a pure martial arts revenge story with a brilliant twist. Every time you die, you age. You start as a young 20-year-old student, but by the time you reach the final boss, you might be an 80-year-old master. As you age, you deal more damage but have less health, perfectly mimicking the trade-off of experience versus youth. The combat is brutal, precise, and requires absolute mastery of parrying and positioning. It's not just a game, it's a lesson in discipline. The art style is striking, and the level design feels like it's pulled straight out of a classic kung fu cinema masterpiece. It's incredibly difficult, but the feeling of clearing a room full of enemies without taking a single hit is unmatched. Sifu is a must-play for anyone who loves a true mechanical challenge. Remnant II is the perfect example of a AA game that punch way above its weight class. Often described as Dark Souls with guns, it takes the core of a challenging ARPG and fuses it with a brilliant third-person shooter engine. The procedural generation is the real star here. The game rearranges locations, enemy spawns, and even entire storylines for every player. You could play for 50 hours and still see bosses and secrets that your friends haven't even heard of. The build variety is insane thanks to the archetype system that lets you combine different classes to suit your playstyle. Whether you're fighting cosmic horrors or clockwork automatons, the gunplay feels weighty and satisfying. It's a massive, imaginative adventure that proves you can have high-end graphics and deep systems without being a traditional AAA title. I'm putting these two together because they tell one of the most emotional and visually stunning stories in gaming. A Plague Tale follows Amicia and her younger brother Hugo as they navigate a war-torn, plague-infested medieval France. The atmosphere is thick with dread, punctuated by the terrifying rat swarms that act as a deadly environmental puzzle. While Innocence established the bond between the siblings, the sequel, Requiem, pushes the production values to a level that rivals the biggest Sony exclusives. The stealth-heavy gameplay is tense, and the narrative doesn't shy away from the psychological toll that survival takes on a young girl. It's a heartbreaking, beautiful, and sometimes horrifying journey. If you value atmosphere and storytelling above all else, these games are an absolute essential for your library. At first glance, Kena Bridge of Spirits looks like a bright, cozy Pixar movie brought to life. But don't let the adorable rock creatures fool you. This game is surprisingly tough. Beneath its beautiful exterior lies a combat system that feels closer to Sekiro or Dark Souls than a standard action platformer. The boss fights are intense tests of timing and parrying that will catch many players off guard. You play as Kena, a spirit guide helping restless souls move on to the afterlife. The exploration is rewarding, the puzzles are clever, and the animation quality is some of the best in the entire industry. It's a short, polished, and heartfelt adventure that captures the magic of the PS2-era action platformers, but with modern high-end visuals. It's a remarkable achievement for a small studio and a game that everyone should experience. Robocop Rogue City is the ultimate love letter to the 1987 classic movie. It's a game that understands exactly what makes the character cool. You aren't a fast, agile soldier, you are a walking tank. Walking through a hail of gunfire while systematically taking down criminals with your Auto 9 feels incredible. The developers at Teon perfectly captured the satirical, gritty tone of old Detroit, and Peter Weller even returns to provide the voice for Murphy. Between the visceral shootouts, you'll investigate crime scenes and make choices that affect your public image, adding a surprising amount of RPG depth. It's a B-movie game in the best way possible. Focused, fun, and extremely faithful to the source material. For fans of the franchise, it's the game we've been waiting decades for, and for everyone else, it's a rock-solid shooter. Outer Wilds is a game that is almost impossible to talk about without spoiling it, but I'll try. You are an astronaut in a small solar system where the sun goes supernova every 22 minutes, resetting the loop. Your goal is to explore different planets and piece together the mystery of an ancient civilization before the clock runs out. It is a game entirely driven by curiosity and knowledge. There are no combat encounters or traditional XP levels. Your only progression is what you learn about the world and how its physics work. The sense of wonder and discovery is unlike anything else in the medium. It's a masterpiece of environmental storytelling that will leave you thinking about its ending for years. If you want a game that treats you like an adult and trusts your intelligence, Outer Wilds is arguably the best indie/AA game ever made. Atomic Heart takes you to an alternate history Soviet Union where robotics and bioengineering have reached terrifying heights. The visual design is the standout here. The retro-futuristic aesthetic is unlike anything else, filled with bizarre machines and hauntingly beautiful landscapes. The combat is a mix of high-speed shooting and elemental glove abilities, reminiscent of BioShock, but with a much faster, more aggressive rhythm. While the protagonist can be a bit polarizing, the world building and the mystery of the Facility 3826 failure are genuinely engaging. The enemy designs, especially the twin ballerinas and the various mechanical bosses, are some of the most creative in the genre. It's a visually stunning, weird, and often intense shooter that offers a fresh perspective on the sci-fi genre. If you miss the immersive sim feel of older games, give this a shot. Vampyr is a dark, atmospheric RPG set in 1918 London during the Spanish flu. You play as Dr. Jonathan Reed, a renowned surgeon who has recently been turned into a vampire. The game's brilliance lies in its moral dilemma. As a doctor, you want to heal the city, but as a vampire, you need to feed on its citizens to grow stronger. Every NPC in the game has a name, a backstory, and relationships. If you kill someone to gain XP, you aren't just losing a merchant. You might cause their family to suffer or entire districts to collapse into chaos. The combat is a bit clunky but serviceable, but the social simulation and the weight of your choices are what make Vampyr a cult classic. It's a moody, dialogue-heavy experience that captures the tragedy of the vampire mythos perfectly. It's the kind of ambitious AA game that stays with you. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a groundbreaking achievement in how it handles mental health and storytelling. Developed by Ninja Theory, it follows a Celtic warrior on a vision quest into Viking hell to fight for the soul of her dead lover. The game is famous for its binaural audio design. If you play with headphones, you will hear the voices in Senua's head whispering from different directions, recreating the experience of psychosis. The combat is heavy and visceral, but the real focus is on the journey through Senua's mind. It's a harrowing, intense, and deeply personal game that pushed the boundaries of what AA studios could achieve in terms of facial animation and performance capture. It's not an easy game to play emotionally, but it is an essential one. It's a powerful reminder of how video games can be used to foster empathy and explore the human condition. And those were 10 incredible AA games that prove you don't need a billion-dollar budget to create a masterpiece. Sometimes the best experiences are the ones that fly under the radar, and I hope this list helped you find your next favorite obsession. But now I want to hear from you. Which of these games are you going to try first? Or is there a hidden gem that I completely missed? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the world of gaming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.